Remember that death scene of Evil Ed in Fright Night? The vampire dying in that horrific wolf form? Well, he was not the only one of his kind. Tonight, we're diving into one of the strangest creatures in the entire Fright Night universe. The wolf-shifting vampire known as Louie. He's not a full werewolf. He's not a normal vampire. He sits somewhere in a twisted middle ground created by a rare mutation few undead ever survive. To understand what he is and how he connects to Evil Ed, we need to go back, trace the mutation itself, and uncover how Louie became the monster he is in Fright Night Part 2. Vampires in Fright Night don't follow the classic Dracula rules. They evolve, they adapt, and sometimes the change breaks them from the inside. A tiny percentage of freshly turned vampires develop something the hunters used to call an unstable form. A monstrous shape tied to their strongest emotion at the time of transformation. For most, that emotion is fear. That's why Evil Ed's final form twisted into a wolf, a cornered animal lashing out. But here's the thing. Most vampires only get that form once. Their bodies can't handle the shift again. Bones snap wrong, minds fracture, they burn themselves out and die within hours. Louie? He didn't die, he adapted. Before becoming a vampire, Louie was a street-level hustler drifting through late 70s and early 80s Los Angeles. A guy who bounced between biker bars, underground boxing rings, and punk clubs. He lived like a stray dog, always hungry, always alert, always ready to fight for scraps. He trusted nobody, he bowed to nobody, and he survived every beating life threw at him. So when a vampire finally cornered him in a back alley behind a dive club, that same survival instinct exploded through him at the moment of the bite. And that's where his mutation started. When a vampire turns someone, their strongest trait becomes the foundation of their undead identity. For Louie, that trait wasn't fear, it wasn't panic, it was aggression, pure animal aggression. His body didn't want to run, it wanted to tear the world apart. So while others mutate into unstable wolf shapes out of terror, Louie mutated because he was a wolf long before he grew fangs. But here's the difference. Evil Ed's wolf form was chaotic and full of a pain. Louie's, it was controlled, balanced, like his body accepted the mutation instead of fighting it. This made him extremely rare. A vampire whose wolf form didn't collapse his body, but enhanced it. Regine didn't surround herself with random monsters. Every creature she brought into her crew had a purpose. Bosworth was her distraction. Belle was her seduction. And Louie? Louie was her blunt instrument. She saw immediately what he was. Not a hybrid, not a werewolf, but a vampire with near-perfect shape-shifting stability. His bone structure could break and rebuild without killing him. His senses sharpened far beyond normal vampire thresholds. Regine didn't just recruit Louie, she weaponized him. He became the perfect tool for the cheap, silent kills, infiltration, intimidation, ambush attacks. Louie wasn't loyal to her because she turned him. He was loyal because she finally gave him something he never had: control. Let's break down why Louie is so different from Evil Ed. When Ed transformed, his wolf form was a panic response, an unstable burst of borrowed power. But Louie's mutation likely stems from three key things. His biology at the moment of turning people with extremely high adrenaline and high aggression often mutate more intensely. His emotional identity, Louie, lived his whole life like a feral animal. The mutation didn't change him. It revealed him, his acceptance of the vampire curse. Most people break mentally when they turn. Louie didn't. He was already broken in the way vampires need. So instead of his wolf form tearing him apart, it fused with him. That's why he can shift multiple times without dying, and why his form is so terrifying. Evil Ed was tragic, a kid who turned out of loneliness and fear. His wolf form was a dying scream. Louie? Louie is evolution. The mutation actually empowered him. Ed's body tried to hold two shapes at once. Louie's body became two shapes. Ed's shift was a curse. Louie's shift is a weapon. This is why Regine trusted him as her shock trooper, and why he's one of the most dangerous vampires in the entire franchise. Even with all that power, Louie had one fatal flaw. He still fought like a man. He relied on brute strength instead of vampire instinct. He used intimidation instead of strategy. And when anyone fights like a predictable animal, they die like one. Louie's final moments show it perfectly. That's why he's defeated. Not because he's weak, but because he never learned to stop fighting the world like it was still the alley behind a club in Los Angeles. Louie proves something huge about vampire biology in this universe. Shapeshifting isn't random. It isn't magic. It's emotional identity made physical. He is living evidence that vampires can evolve new forms, that the curse adapts to the mind, and that in the right circumstances, a vampire can unlock monstrous abilities far beyond the original bloodline. Louie is the answer to a question the movie quietly asks. What happens when a vampire doesn't become a monster out of fear, but out of instinct? Louie is the answer, a controlled mutation, a stabilized wolf, a predator that never needed the moon, only the hunger. Louie isn't a hybrid. He isn't a werewolf. He isn't a traditional vampire. He's a mutation, a living example of what happens when the vampire curse fuses perfectly with the darkest parts of someone's identity. His story connects the dots between Evil Ed, Regine's army, and the wider lore of Fright Night, proving that evolution inside this universe is far more terrifying than we ever saw on screen. Watch the next video unraveling the hidden origins inside the Fright Night universe.